We are ready. We are ready for contenders and challengers. And today we're going to cover a group of riders who have won plenty of races and won some titles, but they are trying to get back to that crown jewel, which is the Monster Energy AMA and FIM World Championship in Supercross. This is your Racer X Monster Energy Supercross preview show for 2021. Welcome to the palatial Pulp MX estate. The owner of this building is Steve Matthes, former factory mechanic, now just the internet rabble-rouser.
Well, I have a mortgage on it, so I'm not the full owner, but yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, the bank does as well. All right, well, we thank them as well. And Pookie. I'm Jason Weigandt, been covering these races for 20 years with the Racer X. Jason Thomas, you raced them for almost 20 years.
Couple years, yeah.
Couple years short of that.
German Supercross champion, two-time.
Multi-time.
Yeah.
We covered in episode 1 the riders who were on top last year, 1, 2, 3 in points, and they won the majority of the races. That's Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, and Ken Roczen. So now the question is, who's going to challenge those guys? Who's going to break through? I break them into two groups. I know you want them all on the first show. Here we're going with the guys who have been around a while.
You don't have all the championship title contenders in the shows. You don't like.
That's because we have multiple shows.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you had one guy in the first show that you don't even think is a contender.
Yes, you feel that certain riders might leapfrog Ken Roczen.
I do.
We will cover some potential candidates for that today. First, I thank our sponsors. Title sponsor is Monster Energy, also Maxxis Tires, New Ray Toys, and Fly Racing. Let's talk veteran guys who have been around. We're talking Zach Osborne, Jason Anderson, Marvin Musquin, who's back in Supercross this year, Justin Barcia on a new ride, and Dean Wilson, who's the Rockstar Husqvarna teammate for Anderson and Osborne. But in every show, we just have to touch on this schedule thing. It's totally different and weird compared to most normal years. We're not going to Anaheim. We're not going to California at all. Do you think, JT, it will affect the results, or at the end of the year, will it be like, Supercross is Supercross?
The only thing I could see it affecting is some riders that have historically struggled at the opening rounds, a la Eli Tomac. Maybe they get off to a quicker start.
Mm-hmm.
They find the dirt in Houston to be more agreeable to their setup. It's a little bit more of a neutral setting. Generally don't hear a lot of negative feedback about the Houston round, where Anaheim won last year was spongy. It was weird. Guys didn't expect that particular dirt. So I think it's going to be a more neutral site, and some of the guys, you could just see guys getting off to quicker starts than normal.
Do you think, JT, so there's a bit of nerves / pressure / iconic building Anaheim Stadium opening round, everything involved in Anaheim?
We always heard when we went to Phoenix for round 2, everybody's like, I'm so glad to be out of there, man.
Right. Do you think that is exactly the same now? It's just transferred to Houston at round 1? Or is there a bit of a muted feeling because it's not Anaheim and we're in Houston? And, you know what I'm saying?
It will have a different feel.
Yeah.
I don't think there will be – guys are going to be nervous, of course, but it won't have that same –
right.
The lump in their throat, right?
Sure.
They can't breathe, and they can't think, they can't ride normally, they can't do all the things that, they've done a million laps in the offseason, they get to Anaheim, and it's like, I feel like I've never ridden before.
When you talk to foreign riders, Australian riders, they talk to you about, I was sitting on the line of Anaheim.
It's the aura of Anaheim.
And I couldn't breathe, or I couldn't.
I've felt that feeling very many times.
It was my childhood dreams. Yep. Well, now your childhood dreams are Reliance Stadium in Houston.
A little different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you do think it'll matter for some people.
And also, I think you're eliminating a few variables. You're taking weather out of the equation. You're taking the mist that comes down at the nighttime of Anaheim that everybody battles. It's like, man, it got so slippery in that main event. I was struggling with tire choice and all those things. That's all out the window. Houston's going to be perfect conditions. The traction should be great. I think it's just going to be a much more normal, air quotes around normal, feeling Supercross than what Anaheim typically is.
And maybe a little more normal than when we ran this type of schedule at Salt Lake last year, because fans will be back. Tickets are on sale. Go to supercrosslive.com, the 3 Houston rounds, 3 in Indy, and then we're going around the country, but more on the eastern side. The first 4 venues all now have tickets available, so we'll have some fans in the stands. Yes, Steve?
I do wish we had Triple Crowns. I wish we still had them. I understand the reasons why.
Yeah.
I think they come back. Let's hope they come back in 2022.
Yes. Yep. Doesn't fit with the crazy. We got enough crazy going on here in 21. Now, what you're here for. This is what you're here for. Partially because you live in this house, but I think more motivated because you have a new rider that you are putting on the list of absolutely can be champion of Monster Energy Supercross in 2021.
Yeah.
And it is Zach Osborne.
It is Zach Osborne. And I'll tell you what, obviously we're all buddies with Zacho. We like him. He's a good dude. He's maybe the most normal Supercross racer of them out there. getting the last win at Salt Lake City last year was a big deal.
Yep.
First ever 450 Supercross Championship. And then he ran that right into the outdoors and won that outdoor title in really great fashion. Clutch rides, all of that stuff. And I just think with Zach's program, Alden Baker, that team, won the titles before, the way he takes his career, how serious he is, to put it politely, Zach has been at times a bit of a basket case. To put it politely,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Nerves, sort of one mistake follows another from attrition, from trying too hard, all these things. Well, he's got that championship. He's got it. And he's got the Supercross win. And now I think in his mentally, he can relax a little bit. And Zach Osborne, I think, I'm not putting him as my favorite. I already said Eli Tomac was. But I really do think Zach Osborne is a title threat week in and week out. I think he's going to be a different guy from what we've seen before. And what we saw before was speed and crashes and some small injuries. I think Zach, this title is going to relax him and take him to a new level for 2021. And remember, I called him for that outdoor title last year. I said he is going to be a main guy every week. So I guess I didn't call him for the title, but I elevated him off of that Salt Lake win.
Yeah.
And it happened.
You would say that you said he would be the one to perhaps give Tomac the biggest run.
Yeah.
And you could say he did win the title.
Right. So I'm big on Zach Osborne, Fly Racing Zone, for the championship this year.
Where are you, JT?
I think he certainly has a chance. What I think it's going to come down to, and if you go back to the Salt Lake 7, his starts were beyond reproach. He put himself in position to be successful time and time again. If he can carry that into 2021, anything's possible. I think he learned a ton during that 450 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. I think maturity and the mental block of beating guys like Eli Tomac and that caliber for a series, I think that went a long way towards that. But I think it will absolutely rely on continuing to get starts. If he falls back to his average first lap position is 8th or something, which is respectable, I can't see a championship coming out of a stat like that. If you put yourself into the first lap where he was around 3rd in those 7 rounds, everything opens up then.
We have a teammate of Osborne, and he's the only rider out of all the many that we're going to mention in the show who's actually won this title before, so you'd think he's the most secure. But I'm going to get into our Matthes where the rubber meets the road real early. Yeah, this is where I say it's, no more guesswork. You got to make it happen when the gate drops. Jason Anderson won the title in 2018, did not win a race in 2019, did not win a race in 2020. Jeff Emig likes to self-depreciate and make fun of himself for winning a Supercross title and then never winning another race. It's starting to stretch out here a bit.
Is that true?
Yeah, he never won another race.
Never won another race?
No, never won another race.
I did.
And I remember talking to Emig before
shocked.
last season, and he said, well, yeah, technically Anderson is the same, but we all know Anderson's going to win more races. But it still hasn't happened. Now, he was a seat falling off away, maybe from beating Osborne, so we know he's capable. But I do feel like Anderson needs to do something to reestablish himself as just as good as everyone in the series, which is where he was 2 years ago. So I think where the rubber meets the road, Matthes tires, pivotal for Jason Anderson.
Whenever you say that Matthes tires where the rubber hits the road, I always think of Matthes tires where A-Ray hits the road, or A-Ray on his Matthes.
He would hit the road, even in
Right,
the stadium
right.
somehow,
So,
yes.
JT, what do you think about Anderson?
To me, I think there was a fundamental shift. When he left the Baker's factory, I don't think we've seen the same Jason Anderson since then. And I believe that for every rider, winning a Supercross championship is the pinnacle. That's not breaking news, right? Ever since then, I have questioned a little bit of the effort level that we saw back then. If you go back to that 2018 season, the opening rounds where he came up and passed Ken Roczen at the Houston round, we were all like, who is this guy? He is the strongest guy, the fastest guy. Eli Tomac had his issues. We all know that. But he absolutely went on and earned that championship. I have not seen that same level of consistency, performance, and fitness from Jason Anderson since he left Baker's factory, since he won that championship. So that's his prerogative. That's his God-given choice to approach series in whatever fashion he wants. But until he is willing to dedicate himself to where he was then, to put himself in the condition and the performance level he was then, I don't think we're ever going to see that again from him. And that's up to him if he wants to put in that level of effort or not.
Yeah, that's my question on Anderson. Is Anderson going to be the guy who used to be Supercross champ and used to be at that level?
Yep.
Or is he permanently a notch below these
and
guys
his
now?
level is high.
Yeah. This
Don't
field
get me
is
wrong.
deep. If you get a podium in this group, you're still really good.
Yes.
Yeah, he got a lot of podiums
Yes,
last year,
but
right?
win a race again,
Right.
that's really what's on the line. Can he win a race
I
again?
think he can win a race.
Yeah.
I don't have him as the championship contender that he once was. I think on any given night, with the speed he shows, look at his performance last summer. He won a moto, right? Out of
Right off the
nowhere.
bat.
We had
Yeah.
no idea
Yeah,
that was
dominating.
coming.
Yeah.
And he goes out and wins a moto running away.
Yeah.
So it's certainly possible. I would not rule that out by any means, but I think over 17 rounds, to be the best guy over 17 rounds, you have to be absolutely on your A game, and I just don't know if his motivation's there for that.
So a couple of years ago when Anderson won that title, it was obviously Eli Tomac as a contender and Anderson, and then Anderson had this rival, so to speak, with Marvin Musquin. It was like, which is the better of those Baker's guy, Husky, KTM, similar bike. They really battled for that title. It actually was close in the end because Anderson had a bike problem in the next to last round. Then we didn't see Marvin Musquin at all last year due to a knee injury. So Marvin Musquin is back. I got a Cooper Webb bike over there. You can buy Marvin Musquin bikes as well to match up with this combo from New Ray. Where are we at with Marvin, Steve? He missed an entire year of Supercross, and even when he came back outdoors, I almost feel by muscle memory he was still a contender, but I don't feel he was 100% physically.
Yeah,
yet.
he spoke about it all summer. He would have
Yeah.
a good first moto
Yep.
and a second moto. He would be pretty honest with like, hey, I'm tired. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I'm just not there. He's missed, of course, the whole year of Supercross. Knee injury was pretty bad. So he's another year older, right?
Yeah.
All of that.
Yep.
I mean, Marv will be Marv. I know that's so cliche to say. He can win a race. I put Marvin Musquin and Jason Anderson almost in the same bucket.
Still, just like they were in 18.
They can win a race.
Yeah.
Certainly. I don't think either will, but they can. And there will be a bunch of podiums, and there'll be a bunch of consistency, but they're never going to be a wow factor. I think Kenny can wow you. Tomac can wow you. AC can wow you. Osborne can wow you. I don't know if either one of these two can, but having said that, they will make a ton of money in podium bonuses, and they will be there each and every week.
I'm going to pose the question to you, JT, this way. In 2018, there were times that you could argue Anderson's the best Supercross rider right now on this night. Marvin's the best Supercross rider now on this night. Are any of those days still in front of them? Because it seems like you're saying, no, if they're going to win a race, it's got to work out for them. They're not just going to ride away from the field.
I think so.
I think Marvin can, but it's situationally with the racetrack.
Okay.
We all know that.
But it's still there.
I've been a bit critical of Marvin on the most difficult nights of whoops, on the most challenging tracks with the most difficult whoops. Marvin has shown difficulty to rise to the level of the Eli Tomacs and the Ken Roczens, who are very, very good in that scenario. If we find a track where the whoops are knocked down, you can jump through them, it's very ruddy, which the 3 Indy rounds should be exactly that. I think Marvin has a chance to do that because he is technically sound. He is arguably the best. Cooper Webb is making a run at that, at jumping through the whoops, finding the rhythm sooner and earlier than everybody else. I could see it. I don't have him winning this championship. I don't have him winning multiple rounds, but I think on the right night, on the right track, given a whole shot, yes, he could be the fastest guy on the racetrack.
Okay, so what we're saying is we saw Anderson and Marv, and we're talking like a small percentage makes all the difference in this game. If you lose 1%, and now guys like Osborne are better, we have some young guys that we will mention in another show who are stepping up. We will see if they can maintain the level they used to be at. But
by the way, looking at this New Ray toy here in front of me, it says Anderson was born in 1993. So my first year as a mechanic on the circuit, he was 3. That's depressing, but New Ray Toys has all these stats and more.
Yeah, that is cool. And speaking of depressing you with age, there is a young, very young Rockstar Energy Husqvarna rider in the amateur ranks coming through. Be a pro soon.
He is. I think he's just going for a freestyle career myself.
Evan Ferry.
I just see tricks. I don't see motos.
I think you see denial of Tim Ferry's son will eventually be interviewed by you.
It's time to get out.
And you're still here.
It's time to get out. Absolutely.
Okay, now some riders can reinvent themselves once they've been around for a while, and that will be the topic of our next rider, Justin Barcia, who's been around in this class for a while. He's like these guys. He's a veteran. He's a been-there-done-it kind of guy. 2013 was his first year in 450 class, but reinvented many years on Yamaha now, a couple with Honda, one with Suzuki, that he'd probably not even want to talk about. Now with the Red Bull TLD Gas brand, to me, I don't know how this is going to go, but it's one of the biggest stories going into the year. How will this bike thing impact Barcia? massive change or same old Barcia? That's one of the biggest questions I have going into 21.
Yeah, I mean, hey, don't look now, folks, but Bam Bam's getting up there in age a little bit,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of times it is hard for these racers to change their the way they operate after so many years in the class. So to believe that a switch from a Yamaha to a steel frame gas will reinvent Barcia, which is what I'm hearing from people in the industry.
Flying at the test track.
Flying at the test track. Fun. We're having fun.
Having fun.
You
Gas
know,
is fun.
all of that
This
stuff.
bike's fixed all the problems that I had on the previous bike.
Which we've heard from every rider ever.
Now, having said that, you know, he was third in the championship after Daytona.
He was.
So the Yamaha does get some bad rap because Salt Lake did go bad for him, but he was third halfway through 10 rounds into Supercross.
I think the Yamaha guys were
so
bummed on that.
After
yeah.
the first 2 rounds of the 2020 series, it would be hard to make a case that Barcia wasn't fantastic.
Right. Do you see, JT, though, because of the switch, him taking a step up?
From those opening 2 rounds, no. But I do think that you'll see more consistency out of him. You're not going to see the night where he's riding around in 11th and you just can't do anything about it, because I believe he is a better rider than that. So I do think that he will find more consistent success, and you won't see the wide variance. You won't see him on a track that suits him win, and then the next weekend he has no chance of riding with those same guys that he was racing with just a week prior. I think it will even that out a bit, but I don't think it's going to jump him to the series favorite. I would say it's going to be very challenging for him to match that third place in the series when you look at the competition out there. I think 2020 was kind of a banner year for him, even with the Salt Lake struggle. Third place in the series is great.
I think no matter what, Weege, good, bad, improved Barcia, worse Barcia, he's fun to watch. And I will be watching him. If he gets around Dean Wilson, I drop everything to watch that. If he gets around Eli Tomac, I don't watch anybody else on the track.
I'll
so
tell
to
you
me,
this.
that's
It's entertainment.
Barcia's excitement.
Yes, I'll tell you this. Because I do think that Barcia would tell me to pound sand with my opinion of that he's going to be, and he thinks he's going to be way better. Great. He gets a whole shot at Houston 1. Good luck to everyone trying to pass him, because I think he's going to come in very confident thinking, hey, I've won the last 2 openers. Why would I not win 3 in a row? And with all that built-up confidence with the team switch.
You have a question for our Supercross expert, though, about Justin Barcia.
We need to bring in Phil Nicoletti. He was former teammates with Justin Barcia. I got to know how this is going to go. For someone that from the outside doesn't know, there is nothing like being on the team with a rider who has gone through a change and has feedback on a bike. As we know, Justin Barcia is making the change from Monster Star Yamaha to Red Bull Gas. Phil, what's the deal? Is this going to be better, worse? I don't know if you guys are friends or whatever, but I'm sure you heard his feedback. I'm sure guys, you're sitting around the test track. Maybe he likes the bike, maybe he doesn't. What's he going to do when he gets on the Red Bull Gas?
I think for Bam, it's going to be a breakout year as well. I think for 2021, he'll be a lot more consistent, not just winning A1 and then getting a podium the following weekend and then fizzling off. I think he will be around the 1 to 5 range for all 17 rounds. So I think that bike and chassis will gel well with his riding style. I think the chassis is a lot more forgiving, so I think he'll be able to get away with a little bit more stuff than what he has been in the past. I think the bike's phenomenal in cornering, so I think it's going to be a new Bam. I think he might be heading to Florida, do some testing down there, do a lot more riding, maybe go to the Baker's Factor every once in a while. So I think that'll help elevate his game as well. It'll be pretty interesting to see, but I'm calling him to be 1 through 5 almost every round this year.
Okay, so follow-up question. You think that the conversations that were had in Salt Lake, we had 7 rounds in a row. We're going into those rounds. Justin Barcia, we were like, maybe he can pull this off. Maybe he can get back into championship contention. We now know that didn't happen. It almost went the complete opposite of that. And he had things to say about the bike. The dirt really didn't work for him. The altitude, the conditions, all those things didn't work for his setup and the Yamaha. You think that will be a non-factor? Like I guess you've already said it, but is that what you think the difference will be? No matter what track he goes to, the bike will be much more suitable to him?
I believe so, and I don't think they'll have to chase as much. I think they'll have a lot more feedback from the other brands as well between Husky and KTM, so they'll be able to utilize what one guy's using versus the other guy. So whereas Yamaha, it was just him and AP. So I think the information will be a lot more I don't know, I should say straight, to be able to make better decisions on race day. And I don't think they'll be able, chasing their tails as much. I think they'll have like either an A and B setup, and kind of that's what you got. You're not going to go through A through Z and try and, throw a wrench at the program and see what works. So, I think the program, chassis, bike, everything, new environment. I think it's going to be a turning year.
I have one thing here. Look, you're both New York guys. You were JGR teammates for a long time. Barcia very aggressive on the racetrack, and Phil known for the throat slit gesture. But I don't recall, were there any issues? Or did you manage to keep it clean somehow, you two, who I think would be the most inevitable collision ever?
Bam and I did have one at Muddy Creek. He did take me out. He apologized, but I was not happy about it. But we let it water under the bridge, and we were running 3 and 4 at that time too.
Last question for you, Phil. How many riders has Justin Barcia apologized to in his career?
0. That's why he's Bam Bam.
Well, he doesn't. He apologized in a way of saying,
yeah, but
it was just racing.
You apologize, but you don't really apologize.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yep. All right. Just want to make sure Phil's perfect record is there's no way they didn't have anything. Yes. All right. Thank you, Phil. Okay. I mean, we just had to get some real Phil there. I'm like, if there had to have been run-ins between Phil and Barcia. Had to. It's like, it probably when they were 5 in New York, starting, before they run on motorcycles. Okay, so that's the Barcia take. To me, I don't know how it's going to go, but that's one of the most intriguing stories. Not a lot of big names switching brands this year. He's the biggest of the big names at switching, so I'm really intrigued by that. I'm going to mention our sponsors again, New Ray Toys. You can get this collection with, you got, of course, the Supercross Championship bike, the Monster Energy Kawasaki of Eli Tomac, Osborne and Anderson Rockstar Huskies, some Cooper Webb and Marvin Musquin stuff available. Also, shout out to Matthes Tires Fly Racing for helping us out with these shows. You mentioned one of the riders that you must watch if Barcia is around him.
Yeah.
Dean Wilson, just like everyone else on this list, this is why I broke the shows up the way I did. These are riders who have been around a while. Dean Wilson, back again with Rockstar Husky. We could probably play the tapes from previous shows. Just stay healthy, Dean. Just stay healthy, dude.
By the way, did I see Dean was celebrating his 29th birthday?
I don't
Wouldn't
know.
be surprised.
I believe it was.
Yeah.
I believe he's 29.
Yep.
Again, aging
and you're
us
short as well.
aging us greatly. Dean, all of these guys we just spoke about, Zacho, Jason, Marvin, Barcia, on this preview show, I put Dean a little bit back of those guys, but certainly a top 10 rider, a very good follow on social, a top-notch bloke, and I wish him well. Good team, good bike, so all of that. But, yeah, I mean, just for Dean, he won't like to see this, but just to get top 10s, and you're doing your job, Dino.
I don't think, though, that if a guy breaks out and gets a podium here and there, I don't think that anyone would make people happier than Dean getting it done here and there. I think the fans and the other riders. Dean's Dean.
Yeah.
I think the fans would be pumped to see it happen.
I would agree with you that the riders we mentioned prior to Dino have a little bit higher ceiling. Having said that, Dean led Anaheim last year for 15-plus minutes in the mud and had a chance to win it. So do I expect Dean to win a race? No. Do I expect many of these other riders to have a chance, a legitimate chance of winning? Yes. So there is a little bit of a line of demarcation there. But having said that, Dean he's a prior 250 national champion. He has the talent to break out on any given night. So it'll be an interesting year for Dean. I think it is a pivotal year for him to continue on to stay on factory equipment year after year, because we keep seeing these riders moving up. And at some point, as you get older, they start to value that investment versus age a little bit.
Yeah, more talent keeps coming into the class.
Yep.
And that is going to be the subject of our next show. I know you wanted all the big names in one episode.
If you're going to talk title, let's get the title guys in one show.
So much parity this year, man. I couldn't do it. Couldn't fit it into one show. So we will talk about, this is a veteran group. We will talk about a younger group of challengers in episode 3. So again, don't yell in the comments that we haven't mentioned Dylan Ferrandis or somebody like that. It's coming soon. So thanks to Matthes and Fly Racing and New Ray Toys, and of course Monster Energy, our title sponsor for this show and the sponsor of our Supercross champion. Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship. Go to supercrosslive.com to get tickets because fans are back. And pit party too? They plan on having pit parties. That's the plan.
There are a few rounds that they're not, but yes, at the majority of rounds there will be Fan Fest, absolutely.
All right, so little bit
Fly
back.
Racing radio show?
Can we do it?
Yes, absolutely.
right.
Every Fan Fest of the year, we will after the final practice. The schedules are going to be changing, so work with us. But after the final practice at the Fly Racing hospitality area, we will have Fly Racing radio featuring Steve Matthes, Jason Weigandt, and myself.
Sounds good. All right. And don't forget, folks, we're going to do a live show Friday night before Houston at Three Palms in Texas, motocross track. And we'll have a show before Indianapolis Friday night as well.
Yep, at the Irving Theater.
We're bringing live shows back, pit parties, fans in limited capacity at the races.
Almost normal.
Yes.
Almost.
It's just no Anaheim. All right, we'll see you for episode 3 and talk about some of the young guns looking to move up in Monster Energy Supercross.